Let's talk emotion regulation. I feel like the camera's at a weird angle. Maybe my preparatory skills are a little off here. But why are your emotions important? I mentioned in a previous video how we live in two, actually three worlds: our inner world, the real world that we're physically moving through, and the anticipatory world, which no other animal can actually do, of what another's inner world might be at any given time. And the more conscientious we are of these three things, the more positive and beneficial our actions are going to be for ourselves and those around us. Because what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what's running through your mind at any given moment, in fact, relationships. And what we tend to do is we respond to our emotions. Our emotions are a sense, just like touch, taste, smell. We don't project our own internal experience on the situation around us or the people around us. Now, coming from an individual who has experienced the extreme depths of depression, it's a constant emotional discomfort. And from my experience, I have learned that you have to fight. You have to fight your own emotions. You cannot not fight experiencing them, because you're going to experience them, especially if you have a condition such as bipolar or depression or psychosis, where you're taken over. If you have a panic attack, it's physiological. It's going to occur. Even the most profound and damning emotions are going to occur. Trying to repress them is not going to be helpful. Reasoning with yourself is. Allowing the emotion to come through you and pass out of you, and reaching for the most positive coping mechanisms that you can reach for during these experiences, because you cannot solve a problem by creating another. I mean, you can, it's just not wise to do so. If you reach for drugs and alcohol and trysts and overspending and overeating and any other negative behavior to get you through, to cope with, if you lash out at other people, if you isolate during overwhelming negative emotional states, you will compound one problem with another. You may have a momentary relief from this extreme emotional state. However, you will eventually, if not immediately, pay the consequences of your choices in your physical health, in your social relationships, in your financial state. You'll have that much more to stress and worry about that you have created through poor coping mechanisms. But you can't just wallow in it either, or it will overtake you. You can't just sit in your own emotions. Step outside of yourself and have an objective dialogue with your own emotions. Realize that emotions are not fact. Emotions are not here to stay. They have come to pass. Let them pass on through. And you do your best to behave according to the facts of reality, the facts of your past, the facts that emotions are fleeting and do not dictate reality, the fact that one moment, one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year is doable. Compare and contrast other people that are in worse situations. When you know your emotions are painful and are difficult, and you want to react in some way to relieve your pain, to relieve your anger, to relieve your depression. Acknowledge that this is a temporary state. Because if you don't acknowledge that it's a temporary state, especially when you start to get into depression, you can become suicidal. You can lose hope. And emotions are not fact. They are visceral, real, legitimate experiences. It's part of being human, and some of them can tear you apart. And they do dictate your energy levels, your behaviors. They have more of a grasp on your inner world than you realize. And I know I said that, but it's important for you to understand, because our inner world is made up, by and large, by 4 aspects. Our born-in temperament, our historical experiences, because we are learning creatures, and we make determinations based on history and habit, how a certain conclusion is going to turn out, and we have belief systems that we base on that. Our feelings at any given moment, and our thoughts regarding those feelings and that situation based upon our own temperament and our past experiences. Sometimes you can be in an emotional state that's so overwhelming and so blinding that you find yourself reacting. You need to stop when you catch yourself reacting. Take a step back, take a pause, reach out to loved ones, start a gratitude journal, do anything. Take walks. No matter if it doesn't feel like it is being effective or helping you in any kind of way. And if you reach a point where you really are in a clinical state, or what may be a clinical state, you need to reach out for professional help. But never, never give up. Never give up, and never give your emotions the power over your life. You're smarter than that. You're stronger than that. You're more capable than that. People that are led by their emotions are really led by their emotions. They do what they feel like when they feel like it, and they don't even know that they're doing that. They're being drug around on this wildly swinging pendulum, and their whole life gets colored and changed frequently. Their relationships are in turmoil because they're reacting and acting in a tangible world with other tangible people based on their own personal feelings regarding a situation, assuming that those feelings are facts. And in the worst case scenario, when they're overcome by a mental illness situation, they may be more prone to lose sight of the fact that this is temporary. It may be too unbearable, and they may reach for, as I mentioned in other videos, for terrible things like suicide. You have to fight. If your body is down, your energy is down, your mood is down, your emotions are down, you have to act opposite. You have to do the things like walk, socialize, exercise, calm yourself, count the clouds. You have to do anything and everything within your power to create a healthy down stepping of those emotions so that you can act wisely in the situation, so that you can sustain hope for surviving that depression without impacting or disrupting your situation. Your relationships with others will go so much more smooth when you can keep yourself in check. Your days will be happier, even if you're unhappy, when you realize that it's just a perception. You don't know why you're having the perception, but it's just a perception. It's not fact. and count the facts around you. It's another technique that will help you feel calmer. Count the facts around you. Surround yourself in fun experiences. You have to stand up and fight. Recognize that your emotions are valid information, but they're not easily interpretable. They're not factual. It doesn't change the situation because your emotions change. Some days we want to exercise, some days we don't. Some days we feel like leaving the house, some days we don't. Some days we want to visit with people, some days we don't. Some days a half a cake sounds good, some days it doesn't. We're fickle, and our fickleness lies largely in our emotions. And so work to find ways to bring yourself to equilibrium, to talk with your emotions, to care for yourself, to respond positively or not respond, to let it move through you and out of you and move around in the world as if. And someday, when the stars align and the feelings come back, the positive, joyful, easy feelings come back, your life, your relationships, your finances, your health will not have taken a major toll through the period when it was difficult for you. But you have to fight. You can't just let feelings aren't facts. Your inner world isn't fact. Everything you believe isn't fact. It's only perception, and perceptions pass. Emotion regulation is highly important. Emotion recognition is highly important. The first step to regulating your emotions is you have to recognize when you are having them, when nothing about the situation has changed, and yet you are wherever you are. It's important to sustain your life practically and sometimes literally. You have to be willing to fight for yourself. Training your emotions. It's like any other muscle. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Love you guys. Have a good day. Bye, YouTube.